Welcome to my session. Um, this is pre-recorded, but it's nice to see you all mentally. Yeah, but welcome to my session. And firstly, my name is Kingsley Udiaga. I am a Power Platform developer in Sterling Bank, and I've been doing this for quite a while. So I guess I'll add other fluff things, but really, Power Platform developer is enough. And today we will be doing an introduction into one of the tools of the Microsoft Power Platform, which is Microsoft Power Automate. And if I don't know what's the skill level of everybody here, this is an introductory session. I don't know if we even have an idea of what I'm just going to assume we don't. So I'll give a brief explanation of what Power Automate is. From the word automate, you know you want to automate something, and what does it mean to automate anything? So technically, when we talk about automation in any sense, is so we have a process, and it's always relating to activities or processes. So we have something that you do, and it is still manual. It is still hinged on the interaction, physical interaction, or yeah, mostly definitely physical interaction of um physical human interaction from one stage to another. Say that something as basic as you want to have something delivered. Let's use delivery. You want to have something delivered from here to um let's say from Ekiti down to Abuja. So you would take your parcel all the way to the um, delivery company, and they will post it to, and they will take it to their dispatch station at Abuja, and the person will have to come down to the delivery company to pick it up. So from there, you can see the opportunity of some form of automation. And why I'm using that example is I wanted to use something that you probably have interacted with. So what that means is if we were to automate that system, what would we introduce? We'll introduce a way for you to pick up your mobile phone or your computer, go to a website and say that you have a delivery, and the company will now invariably send someone down. So what is automated is your interaction with the service. Obviously, there's still manual entities going on in the back. So it's not a good example of what Power Automate is, but it's an example of what automation feels like. It's just making it easy for people to do certain things or making a process more seamless and leading less physical activity. Now, in the case I used, it was so let's say for in an organization, they have a process where you have field representatives who go out to collect data and they come back to the organization with that information. So that you can already see the opportunity for automation. I mean, I'll wake up in the morning, go to work, carry out my data collection sheets, go to the field, collect data, come back, give it to the data collector who would process all of that and now feed it to business intelligence units that will use it to do whatever they want to use it for. And in an automated system, I would literally just wake up, go to the field with my mobile phone, and as I'm collecting the data, it is being submitted in a format that is already like basically I have scrapped out the need for me to physically carry a piece of paper, and I've scrapped out the time delay that it will take for me to collect the information and send it back. So you're cutting out a lot of time, you're cutting out a lot of needless resources. And that's waste, as in paper, and also in time, you are making it easy, you're also reducing manpower. So basically when you think of automation, you're just thinking of how to make business processes easy for anybody. or in the organization. So if you have a process, if you're in school right now, or if you have a process, or if you're in a company and you have a process that is very manual, you feel that there's a computer software somewhere that can solve it, it's most likely that there's something you can put up together in Power Automate, and you can solve that. So if you think of instant communication, think Power Automate. If you think of alerts, think Power Automate. If you think of scheduled events, think Power Automate. If you think of scheduled notifications, think Power Automate. If you think of data migration, that's moving data from one data source to another, think Power Automate. So basically, the limitations are just what you can think about. Power Automate is very versatile, and I will be explaining that. So to access Power Automate, you go to make.powerautomate.com. I have a very easy way, and I'm assuming we all have a developer tenant. If you're coming to this bootcamp, I'm sure they must have mandated. So you just go here and click office.com. What this does, if you have a developer tenant, it gives you access to almost everything. Then you click on the hamburger menu here, or let me just call that menu. That's not a hamburger menu. And you click on Power Automate, and it sends you to the Power Automate page. Yeah, apologies. It should be faster. So I'm on the page and it says, Hello Kingsley, create a flow to automate a repetitive business task end to end. And I have, this is the Power Automate page. So on the home page, the home, what I'm seeing here is automated business. So that's learning for every level. If you're trying to learn, these are resources that you can work with that are very good. And some other things to explore. Um, but we're not going to do any of this. If you also have templates. So to start with Power Automate, let's say you're a beginner, I would always advise you come to the templates because you have, let's say you have an idea for something you would like to try, eh? Or even you don't have an idea, you just want to try your hands on anything. You can always select templates because they give you an idea of what is possible. So we have templates that are this. I went to Top Picks and I'm seeing a couple of templates that I already know that I can use. So click a button to email a note, post a message to Microsoft Teams when an issue is created on Jira. This is for project management. Get a push notification when you receive an email from your boss. So this one is in circumstances where you um, basically when your boss sends an email for a particular subject, you can be able to create an email listener and track a particular message so that it makes you respond faster. So there are plenty templates that you can try. Let's say for remote work. So basically, templates is a good way to start, but I won't be starting here. I just wanted to show you that if you didn't want to build from scratch, you could always come to templates and do something. So when you go to flows, this is where you see all the flows you created. This is if we have done. Shared with me if you're in it, if you're Power Automate. Power Platform is licensed in an organizational tenant. So basically, you would have team members, and if you share a flow with them, you would find it here. You no longer find it under your cloud flows because you shared it. Desktop flows speak to Power Automate Desktop. We won't be doing that, but this is a more robust automation tool. And let's say it's not doesn't work the same way as Power Automate, but it has its own innate usage. Its level of automation is way more advanced and way more. I don't know what's. Let me give you an instance. Okay, just we'll be doing this. It's let's keep this one. So this is desktop flows. We'll be touching this, but but this is used for more advanced scenarios than what Power Automate will be used for. Where you have where you need to do script websites, UI automation, all of that, more advanced scenarios. But we'll be doing this. So cloud flows, desktop flows shared with me. So if you wanted to create a flow, there are, let's go to create so that I can show you a couple of, so you have these options: automated cloud flow, instant cloud flow, and scheduled cloud flow. Then you also have the opportunity to tell Power Automate to build it for you. We'll be exploring this as well. We'll be exploring desktop flow or process advisor. We'll be doing the first four. Let's just quickly go into it. So let's say, for instance, I want to do an automated cloud flow. So I'll click here and look at the triggers. So before we proceed, I should explain something. The Power Automate is every flow is comprised of two important things, two distinctly important things: a trigger and action. Those are the fundamental uh, components of every flow. Every flow is made up of a trigger and action. A trigger, think of what sets off the process. What is the thing that happens and we say, oh, the process has started. When you wake up in the morning is a trigger that your day, everything you do throughout that day are actions. So when I wake up in the morning, I would brush my teeth, have a bath, go to work, go to school, talk to my boss, talk to my lecturers, take a lecture, have meetings, eat. All those are actions. The trigger is when you wake up in the morning. So that's essentially what we are doing here as well. Whenever you create a flow, you would have one trigger and several actions. Like I said in the explanation I give about when you wake up in the mornings. Wake up in the morning is the trigger, and everything I do throughout that day or everything that happens to me. No, everything I do. Basically, a trigger is what happens to what sets off the process. Yeah. And also within the day, you can have other flows. So when your boss gives you an instruction, so think of triggers as in reception of. So whenever you're thinking of triggers, think of something that is being obviously something that triggers the process, but it's always the process is always in the receiving end of the trigger. It's never in the yes, it's always in the receiving end of the trigger. So when your boss gives you an instruction as a trigger, then everything you do to carry out that task, the actions you use to carry out that task. So basically have your head around it. That's how it works. Now there are certain instances where you can do something and get a response, like but those are not triggers, those are also actions. I don't want to confuse you. But that is it. So trigger several actions. Just keep that framework in your head, and that's how it works. So we just do bootcamp. Bootcamp cloud flow. We're not doing anything fancy. Probably just do an email. So we'll do I need something. Let's say when a file is created in OneDrive. Let's do something more. Let's do when an item is created. I'm going to assume that you had your introduction to SharePoint at this point. Um, majorly all the automations we build, there is some level of um, you're going to always need to interact with the database. So there's Excel and there's SharePoint. So I would just, this action means when an item is created. And I'm saying whenever a new entry is submitted in my database, I want some things to happen. So I have to connect it to, if you're conversant with SharePoint, you know we have the list and you know you have the site address. So I'm going to select my list address, and I'm going to just select I'll just do class list. I think I don't have. Then the next step I want to do is send an email, and when I type that, you get a couple of options. So I'll just use Outlook and select send an email. That's it there. So I don't want it to be hard coded. I want it to be dynamic. I want the whoever creates that item to get an email confirmation that the item has been submitted. So confirmation, your submission is acknowledged. Okay, so this will never close. Let's make it excited. So we'll save and we'll go to our class list and create a new item. Just say bootcamp test. Just choose to use this test and we'll send it. And we should see if this runs. We'll be expecting an email. So what we had was your submission is acknowledged, so we'll wait for the next email. While waiting, I need to explain some things. If you notice here, we have automated instance scheduled, basically. So the idea is these are all types of flows that you can create. And this is just an assistant tool to help you create anything and desktop flow. I do hope we have enough time. I don't think we do. But so for automated flows, when you say it has an automated trigger, what that means is there's really no human intervention that kicks that process. No, you are not the human intervention that kicks the process. Or like the process is not, there is no specific human control to how that process is initiated. So let's say for instance, when like for instance the one I just did, when a SharePoint site receives, okay, so we have our email confirmation, your submission is acknowledged, and voila. So my explanation is automated cloud flow. So the one I used is when an item is created. So yes, the person is submitting a time, that's submitting an item, but to you, you have no specific control to when that person is submitting that item. You have no specific control to when, in what way that item is submitted. You've created a SharePoint list, and you have no specific control to the so basically, you don't have a control to when that item would trigger, when that action would occur. So that's why it's automated. So and, other examples as when you receive an email, you do not know when that email will come. You have, even if you do not know when it will land into your inbox. So you have instances of another one, maybe when somebody goes to that item to edit something. So think of, yes, when you wake up in the morning, you have no control to when you wake up. Some people will say that they do, but they actually do not. It's an automated trigger. It happens, and you are now awake. When you take a nap in the afternoon, when you wake up from that nap, is automated. Yes, your alarm would ring, but really to your alarm would ring to wake you up, but you waking up is an automated trigger to do anything. So other examples are when you receive an email, when a file is sent to you. Basically, you have no control. It just happens, and when your reception of that action, that's how you have an idea of what an automated trigger is. The next one we're trying is instance. So for instance means it's like there's a manual triggering of that action. So when you click a button, when you go and start your generator, when you start your car, so that time you are in control of what sets off that process. When you send an email, so all of that, like our manual triggers. When you send an email is not a trigger in Power Automate anyways. But think of manual triggers as stuff that you have to manually, or instant cloud flows. They are also called manually triggered flows. Think of something that you start with that begins with the trigger, like a physical action. So somebody initiates something. No, you initiate something physically. I'm saying in the context of the user. So they initiate it and the process starts. So we'll see examples of what. So you have manually trigger a flow by yourself. This one you're actually just triggering the flow after you create it, and that's the one we would use. Then you have when you reply, when you can respond, send someone an adaptive card in Teams. When a Power BI button is clicked for a selected file, let's say you click on a file or you take an action on the file, same thing. So basically, these are instances where you physically do something to trigger an entire process. So that's the concept of manually trigger. And this one we'll do. So bootcamp manual. And we'll do the same send an email. So we'll still send an email. And we'll do send an email. So this will be bootcamp manual. You also have dynamic content accessible and available to you. Like I said, dynamic content as like outputs of the triggers or the actions before that particular action. So anything above this would have values that you may be able to use in context of this. So whenever somebody triggers a manual flow, there are certain things that are available to that you can use. So I want to send myself an email. No, no. So to imagine, I put that in subject. So this is supposed to be the subject, and this is supposed to be user email. Then the body, I just want, let's say today's date. Today's date is that, and I will save. To test this, I'll just come here. Let's test it in this context. Or this, I'll just say run, and it should send me an email. So it says succeeded. If I come to my email box, today's date is. I can also introduce. So let's say I'm giving my team members this. Let's say this is a manual check-in process. So whenever they come to work, they have to click on this button and tell me that they are now at work. So I want them to be able to input a certain code. Let's say the code tells me that they're really at work. Maybe the code is in their office. So we'll say office code. Let's say this is a secret code in the company, and when I enter it, that's guaranteed. That's how I know that, oh yeah, they're really at work. Check in, check in, and you have code being the code that they submit, and in dynamic content, I can see that code here. Wait, hold on. My pen is not. office code, and I can now take the time that they came in, then timestamp. So let me put something here. So if I give this to my colleague, so let me put my name here. Usernames, check-in, info. So I save it. So if I give this to my colleagues, so that it will notify me. So naturally this will be hard coded instead of, but I'll still use dynamic content. But in your case, just replace this with your email. So I run this. Now I'm forced to have to put in the office code. So if I run the flow, supervisor gets an email. Let's just refresh this page. I think it's okay. It messed up my name. I would have to check why. But so check-in info, it's saying, and this is my timestamp to know when I entered. So you can also add a bit of formatting to improve on this date. But this is the code. So if this is not the code for today or for that particular time, this is a good use case for companies that want to ensure that they know when their staff come into the building. So this is a good use case. So the last one we'll do, because we're pressed for time, is the schedule flow. So this is time based. So what this means is this happens recurrent. Like this happens on a schedule. So if you want to put it daily, weekly, hourly, by minute, you can see here we have repeat every minute. But we just want to do this daily at 10 a.m. every day. We want to say, we'll name this boot camp schedule. There are some dynamic contents that are available to you. So what do you want to do? We want to also send an email that tells us, so this time I won't have any email, so I would have to actually type my email. So we'll just call this a reminder. And what you should say is, this is your scheduled notification. And if I test this is supposed to go out every 10 a.m., but I can show you how to test this. So to test your flow, before you say, oh, certify that it's good, you have the test here, and you can either set manually or automatically. So manually means you want to test it. Right now, you just click on test. Automatically means you have maybe like you have old runs of this flow, and you want to test it using some of the details you've already entered in before. Let's do that so that I will show you. We'll do 2 of those tests. So we run this flow now, and it's saying successful. Go to the email. This is your scheduled notification. For automatic testing, you now have the option to use that previous one, but this doesn't state. I think this 28 days. So it will stay. You have this option for 28 days until you don't see them anymore. That's if you keep testing, you would always see stuff. But if your last test was like 29 days ago, you would not see any recent triggers to using your automatic test. We'll just test it again. It runs successfully. So the last bit that I want to talk about is describe it to design it. So this is a new feature that was introduced this year to help you build flows much faster. You can describe what you want, and AI will help you generate a flow that would do something. So let's take one of these examples. Send an email, reply every time somebody sends an email. Okay, no, should we do this? So it automatically will generate all the components you would need. Um, I think I want to do something else. Okay, let's try one of the examples is when someone submits a new request. So let's see what it does. This is for a form. If someone fills a form, let's make it more. Let's tell it that we want it to be in SharePoint. Let's see what it says. When an item is created, send an email. So you have the opportunity to create this automatically. AI will generate it for you. You just describe what you want, and voila, you can create your flow and start playing with it. So I really hope you find this useful. If you have questions, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. Think Steve Diaga. And I really want to encourage you, especially if you work in an organization that uses this 365, or as a student, this is a skill that you would want to have. Might not look like a big deal now, but I promise you that very soon organizations would require that you have this level of awareness and understanding of building um, processes with some form of automation, some form of you will learn Power Apps today, so some form of app development before you can join them, or to be an added skill that you would say in an interview and you just put you in front of everybody. But I'm really encouraging you to to try, to be aware, to know, get your hands dirty. As time goes by, you have more opportunities to actually get a job. Right now, I'm working as a Power Platform developer, so you know that's possible. That this is actually a career path for some people to even get much bigger in the future. Is also a career advantage. So I guess this is me just encouraging you to try. And thank you for coming to this, and I hope that this has been very useful to you. Yeah, so thank you. Till next time. Bye.